and welcome to a very special edition of Inside Microsoft Teams. I'm Derek Snyder. Today, we announced the public preview of the new Microsoft Teams desktop app for Windows. So to learn more, I'm joined by Jeff Teper, President of Collaborative Apps and Platforms at Microsoft. Jeff, welcome to Inside Microsoft Teams.
Hey, Derek. I am so excited to be here today.
Well, it's great to have you. So first, just tell us a little bit about your role at Microsoft. What are you responsible for?
Sure. Our team does the core collaboration experiences and services. So that includes Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint, some of the newer things like Viva Apps and Syntax, and not just for end users, but for developers as a platform as well.
So you guys must be really pumped on a day like today where we've announced this new public preview of Teams. So what's it all about and why is it a preview?
The team and I are so excited. If I had to go back a little bit, we've been working in parallel for a bit, delivering new features to end users, developers, and IT in the existing Teams code base. In fact, we delivered 400 new capabilities in 2022. But we've also been working on a new architectural leapfrog to significantly improve the performance and resource consumption of the new Teams. And that's what we're here to announce today, that it's available now in public preview to any organization that opts in on Windows.
And so what are the benefits that we're already seeing of that release?
Yeah, so big focus is on resource consumption, performance, and simplicity. We're already seeing, even in this preview, and we're not done yet, that it takes about half the resources the previous version of Teams did. And core scenarios are up to twice as fast, and we're still tuning. There's also some other things that we'll highlight in the announcement in terms of some simplicity features. One of the biggest ones is the ability to support multiple organizational identities in Teams and get all your notifications and have the meeting join experience be simplified. So we're very excited about that scenario as well. But the biggest aspect of it is that foundational performance and resource utilization.
So I'm just a bit curious because it seems like there's been a ton of momentum in terms of Teams adding new capabilities over time. I think there's over 400 new features that shipped in the last year. Why did this have to be a rebuild versus just continuing to evolve the existing code base as it was?
Yeah, a lot of details there. We spent a lot of time working through this. There are a set of things, and we've shared them on the Teams technical blog, places where we were able to make investments in the existing Teams clients that, of course, accrued in the new client, on things like switching the video rendering to native rendering and native composition, so we could use more of the CPU and GPU that improve performance and battery life and so forth. Cached mode, where we're serving the UI off Teams off a data layer that's asynchronously fetching things from the service. So there have been some improvements. But to really get the big leap we were looking for, we needed to change some fundamental things across the code base. How we were managing JavaScript and the JavaScript framework, and our bridge between the code in Teams and the native code that we use some technology from the Edge team that's now called WebView 2, leveraging the Chromium engine, that we can just manage with much better efficiency and performance. And there have been, lastly, a lot of other things, lots of tuning and how we do chat and channel switches, meeting joins, and so forth. So there are some big things and a lot of little things that went into this public preview release.
I'm curious, were there trade-offs that you had to make that were difficult? A lot of companies now are always thinking about whether or not they should get everything done with a progressive web app versus building something native. How did you think about where we wanted to be on that spectrum?
Yeah, always in architectural choices, there are multiple criteria. And so we're looking for great performance, great engineering efficiency, great reliability, and so forth. And so there are places where the web technology was the best answer, in part because we allows us to port Teams across Windows and Mac and web with very high engineering efficiency and agility, getting new features out. But there's also places where the web code base just isn't fast and optimal enough, and we needed to switch some things to native code. And so we worked very hard to get that optimal mix. And I think we've really, again, you see it in being about twice as fast and a half the size. Mm-hmm. I think we found the sweet spot. And you'll see the payoff of this This preview is first on Windows, but in parallel, we're working on the same architecture for the web and the Mac, such that we have great performance across all three platforms with very high degree of engineering agility in the years to come.
So it's interesting you talk about engineering efficiency when we've, just talked about how you've shipped over 400 features last year. It wouldn't have struck me that was one of the problems to solve. So do you feel like there will be even more acceleration in what we'll be able to ship inside of Teams with this new platform?
Yeah. In fact, there's places where the platform is mostly complete, even though we're in the public preview, so that it lets us write the same code that shows up in the existing version of Teams, this new preview, and other platforms. We'll get into this, but some of the new AI capabilities we've just shown, that's new end user experience code. So we wrote it in a way that would leverage the strengths of this new platform, and then we'll be able to bring it out very quickly to all Teams users everywhere. So we're already seeing some of the payoff. I'm looking forward to getting the feedback on the public preview, getting the Mac version out, and then getting it released. So then we'll fully realize it. But I think the main thing for today is you can go out and get the public preview of a build for Teams for Windows that is pretty dramatically faster and smaller than the one you're using right now.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the end user benefits, right? You talked about speed and performance, but if I'm an end user and I'm choosing to, opt in or switch into the new Teams experience, assuming my admin has allowed that, what else am I going to get?
Yeah, I think the first thing I want to caveat is this is a preview, so we're not done. It doesn't have all the levels of validation and reliability the mainline version of the historical version of Teams has. There's still some features missing that haven't yet been ported to the new architecture. We're working hard on that. But we felt we were more than far enough along. And, we've gotten this feedback from our employees and a set of early adopter customers. So you'll see better memory utilization, better performance. There are some things that you'll see in the chat and channels experience, in the meetings experience. Some the day this is available to you in public preview, some coming in the next few weeks. We highlight some of those in the video for a more intuitive channels experience, more natural meeting layouts that will show. And then, as I mentioned earlier, one of the bigger things that's coming is the support for multi-tenant switching in the user experience so that, again, your notifications aren't lost and it simplifies joining meetings. So all those things are to come in this new Teams client.
Yeah, so we've talked about end user benefit, and it sounds like there's a lot of simplicity coming. It sounds like it's going to be easier to save time and clicks to sort of get things done. And certainly the speed is going to aid in that as well. Now, you talked about unlocking organizations with this multi-tenant, multi-account. So a couple details. First, is that only available in this new Teams? And then second, what problems does that solve for an organization?
Yeah, so it is one of the things, unfortunately, we could only make available in the new Teams because it was a pretty fundamental and very large re-architecture of the code base. So that if somebody's part of multiple organizations, maybe their company has multiple M365 tenants, maybe they're a consultant consulting to multiple companies, maybe they go to school and work and their school and their employer have different tenants. And so we've heard the ability to make sure that you're not missing a notification across those, the ability to send chats and join meetings across identities, making that simpler and more intuitive is really fundamental to a lot of organizations. Some of our customers have dozens, if not more, separate Microsoft 365 tenants. Not necessarily what we would recommend, but that is what they've chosen to do. And we want to make sure for those users who span those that it's a really seamless experience. So very excited about that coming out because I know that, especially to our ecosystem, our MVPs, our consultants who deal with lots of customers, it's one of their big asks of this.
Absolutely. And then the final audience I kind of wanted to spend some time on is the developer. In what ways, if any, does this make life easier or open up new doors for developers building on top of Teams as a platform?
Yeah, really good question. In fact, we'll have certainly more to share in a few weeks in May, the end of May, at our Build conference. But one of our biggest goals is to make sure Teams is a hub for all of users' collaborative applications, not just the capabilities we build at Microsoft, but partner applications that plug inside Teams and custom things that you might build with JavaScript or the Power Platform. And so Teams being very resource efficient and very fast means it'll just be more natural for a developer to have their adaptive card, their channel-based application, their message extensions, meeting extensions show up very quickly inside Teams. And so we're working, just without getting too much in the details, on how you can cache the resources for an application so its startup time successively, if developers take advantage of that, is much faster than existing solutions inside Teams. We're going to see a lot more AI. We already see thousands of people, organizations with hundreds of apps inside Teams that are bot-based, and the work with AI and large language models is going to accelerate that even more. So we're going to see more and more message extensions and bots inside Teams. And so we want to make that super fast for end users. And so for developers, that speed means more user engagement. Users love to go back to experiences that are fast. And so the work we've done in the core chat and channels experience in Teams and how it relates to the Teams platform is pretty fundamental for developers.
So you just talked about AI, which leads me to one of the questions I want to ask around just the paradigm shifts that are happening right now. And I think we've kind of seen two. One, flexible work is obviously here to stay, and we're seeing that cemented into so many cultures now across companies. And then the second is really AI. So let's take those one at a time. In what ways is the new Teams experience sort of built for flexible work? How are we enabling that in a new way as we go forward?
Yeah, the spirit of Teams, obviously, from the beginning is to bring together asynchronous and synchronous collaboration. Asynchronous being the most flexible and, frankly, work-life time zone friendly, where people can, whether it's chats or co-authoring documents inside Teams or bot-based applications, they might be line of business workflows, or integrating something like Jira or ServiceNow or something custom built in Power Apps, that people can work on a schedule that's optimal for them, where they live, and how they're balancing their work and life. And by making this new Teams version smaller and faster, it's going to make it easier, in particular, people who have sort of more mainstream versus high-end laptops, make that a great experience. They'll be able to go to the coffee shop, fire up some chats, resolve the issues, plug their laptop into an external monitor. If they've get into a co-working space and get a great meetings experience. So a lot of that is just going to make that asynchronous work more simple and flexible and pain-free, just to be frank. And then on AI, I assume you want to talk some about AI.
Absolutely, yeah. We've made a lot of announcements around Copilot and all of those capabilities coming to all the M365 apps. How is that starting to show up in Teams, and what are you most excited about as we kind of get in this new generation of AI showing up in the product?
Yeah. So one of the, there's AI has been in Teams for quite a bit, including transcripts where we do speech to text, video segmentation, so that we can do things like together mode and put people all on the same page and front row. But we took a really big leap with the announcement of Teams Premium that includes a feature called Recap, that we can take a look at the meeting transcript and the content shared and break it up into chapters and give you a good summary of that and action items and so forth. And that's the first step. We announced that last year at Ignite, and it's on its way to broad availability. But the really exciting thing we just announced a couple of weeks ago was Microsoft 365 Copilot. This is where we're using the very latest large language models in conjunction with the Office Graph to deliver really amazing breakthrough experiences I'll share two, sort of the Copilot in a meeting, where I can ask it to summarize what's happened in the meeting if I just joined late, or what are the action items in the meeting, or did person A disagree with person B? And it is just stunning. I've been using it the last few weeks. before we did the public announce. And it's one of my favorite demos to do because it's just shockingly good. And so we'll be bringing that. In fact, it is already in our internal testing inside the new teams, and it's a pretty magical experience. The other thing we're doing, we've talked about something called business chat, where you can have a conversation with AI that's safe and secure and is also grounded by the content and information that's in the Microsoft Graph. So it respects security. It doesn't share with people things they don't have the access to. And so you can just fire up a chat and chat with the Copilot, just like you chat with a colleague, and ask it to summarize emails about a particular topic, help you compose a document. If there's some long chat thread, I talked about asynchronous work, a global team, you could show up in the morning and see this long chat thread and you're like, oh gosh, you can just ask your Copilot to get caught up with a summary and are there any takeaways for me? So we're really excited about the productivity of gaining insights with a fraction of the time, catching up with chats and documents and meetings without spending as much time, but also the creative side that these Copilots are going to help you create great presentations in meetings, compose very concise, effective chats and other ways where you're communicating with people, Outlook as well as the Office app. So we're very excited about AI and Teams, and we're working on getting to preview with that technology, the Copilot technology that's not yet available today, but it's coming very soon after, and we're very much looking forward to getting that out to people in the new Teams client. I think it's a pretty magical combination, this new, faster, more efficient Teams and this sort of AI that will make you more productive and more creative.
Yeah, I'm struck by all the building blocks you kind of described that had to come together to make this sort of new value be created. Like even things like the transcripts being the foundation for the meeting's Copilot experience you described, where it actually summarizes what's being said because it actually knows what's being said. So
yeah,
very interesting to see how all these things are coming together. And obviously we can all start to dream about where this could go in the future, which is very exciting. Yeah.
And our focus is, there's a couple of focuses. One, making it very secure, because that's top line for everybody, so that there's not any disclosure to information that people shouldn't have access to. And just making it simple. I think you'll see Copilot's just there as a button in the Teams meeting. And you click on it and you can start asking questions like what's happened in the meeting so far, and whatever. It just works.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I've had a chance to try it. It's just, it is mind blowing. So yeah. One of the last things I wanted to ask, obviously, we talked about this being a public preview. If you're a member of the public using Teams and in your workplace, how do you go about getting the new Teams preview?
Yeah, the key thing that we've done at this first stage of a public preview is the administrator for your organization does need to opt in users. We're very confident about the quality of the Teams preview being something people could use every day. We use it every day. But there are some missing features that are still going to come in the follow-on GA release. And we know that different companies take different approaches to change management and educating and rolling out things to their users. So at this stage, the organization admin has to opt in, and then any users will see a switch. It's pretty simple. New Teams, you switch it, it restarts, and you're using the new Teams from then on. And if you want to go back or you want to go back and forth as an end user, you can do that without installing any new software or asking any IT for help. But the admin has the switch for now. And as we get farther along, when we get to closer to feature complete, and we get the thumbs up from everybody that the quality is where we think it is, then it'll just be upgrading your Teams client. You won't actually necessarily know, other than it seems faster, that you've got a new Teams. Because this is how we update Teams every month today. And if people don't know, about once a month, we release a new version of Teams. All these features start to light up, and nobody sees the setup process that we do under the covers asynchronously. So we will eventually do that. But at the public preview stage, the admin is in control.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff. To learn more about everything we just talked about, go to aka.ms/new era of teams. And you can find instructions on how to enable new Teams preview for your organization, or if you're an end user, how you can actually switch into it. Jeff, thank you so much for your time. I know it's a very busy time for everyone, but this is very exciting, obviously, to be on the team. I know this has been a big moment we've all been waiting for.
Thank you, Derek, so much. We have been excited about this for months, and I almost can't believe today is the day. We're so excited to get everybody's feedback on the new Teams.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for watching today. And please do go to the link and learn more about the new era of Microsoft Teams, the new Teams preview. Thank you very much.